Hey there, my name is Dean Quick, and I'm one of the board-certified music therapists for Levine Cancer. In this video, I interview Kenny Kahn, who I spent some time with in music therapy during his infusions. He's one of the co-founders of the Musicland Gift Foundation, and in this interview, he talks about his experiences in music therapy. And some of this information might be helpful for you or a family member who you're considering music therapy for, or if you're considering music therapy for yourself. So I hope you find it helpful, and thank you for watching.
Hey Kenny, it's so nice to see you today.
It's great to see you, Dean.
And thanks for taking some time to talk with me about your experience in music therapy. But could you first start just by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I'm a cancer survivor. I am almost 3 years in remission at this point, which I'm incredibly thankful for. And I was treated here at Levine Cancer Institute and saw you for quite a bit of the time that I was here. You played a role in my healing and my recovery. In late 2020, I began to not feel well. You certainly don't think that you have cancer.
Right.
Much less advanced blood cancer, which is what I had. And I went through 90 days of losing weight and being incredibly fatigued and not feeling well. Finally dragged myself into the doctor. It was during time of COVID, so I knew I didn't have COVID, but I didn't want to get it at the doctor, which is why I didn't went. 90 days later, I went in. A series of blood tests later, they told me I had diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a big word salad for I had advanced blood cancer that had traveled throughout my body, probably in the prior 90 days, and had landed on my liver. And there were 25 tumors across my liver. My cancer was not in my bones, it was not in my lymph nodes, and it was not in my lungs, but it was most definitely on my liver. And so quickly, you don't have an oncologist on standby. Most people don't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was fortunate to find my way to a great team here at Levine, and they were definitive in their diagnosis of what I had, that I had advanced blood cancer, and that it was aggressive, and that they were going to treat it aggressively, but they were confident that it would save me, which it did. And so my symptoms were accelerating. I lost 27 pounds in the month before treatment. My lungs collapsed.
Wow.
So I was quite sick at the time.
Yeah. Do you remember when I first introduced myself to you and talked to you a little bit about music therapy?
I sure do. It was my second round of treatment. So I was being treated with 6 to 8 rounds of what was called R-CHOP, which was an aggressive chemotherapy infusion, also a series of spinal treatments to prevent the cancer from going to my spine or my brain. My body reacted not well on the first treatment. I had an allergic reaction, which they gave me all sorts of medicines for. First treatment was a rough day, but I ended up speaking with my primary oncology nurse about music quite a bit on that day. She and I talked about the Avett Brothers for the better portion of that day. And she said, when you're back in 3 weeks, there's someone I want to introduce you to. And that's when we met. It was on my second treatment. I remember it. It was in March. And you came in with a cart with all sorts of music gear.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, hey, I heard you love music. And you and I spent about an hour talking about just getting to know each other and talking about life and music.
Yeah. This, God, we talked a lot about Avett Brothers too that day, didn't we?
We did.
Was there a particular session or a moment in music therapy that was particularly meaningful for you?
There were a number of them. And they all really meant something to me when when you came to visit. I looked forward to it. You know, when you're going through treatment, you're anxious, your anxiety level's sky high, your blood pressure could be very high on those days. You're certainly not looking forward to the treatment.
Right.
And so when you came, it was a really healthy distraction for me to talk about something. I felt like I made a new friend, and we had something common to talk about, which was our love of music.
Sure.
And it was I could get lost in that for an hour, and I don't know, memory fades, but I kind of remember you always coming mid to late round of my treatment where it had already been administered, and I was feeling the effects of it, and that was kind of the perfect time
Yes.
to get a visitor. And because it was a time of COVID, there were no visitors.
None. Yeah, I remember.
So people here were by themselves, and that was kind of a solitary journey. So I really look forward to your visits. But I remember a few in particular.
Okay.
I remember you and I talking about two different U2 songs.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about a song called There Is a Light. And I was lying in bed, and I'd had my treatment, and you put headphones on me so I could hear without disrupting the other patients that were in the treatment center. And you and I tried to recreate that song.
Yes.
I hope it never sees the light of day, but you have to promise me that.
Yeah, I do.
But I remember that song, and I remember, it'll come to me, another U2 song that we spent some time talking about and trying to recreate. And I remember on my last two treatments, so by the time I had gotten to the end of treatments, I was kind of over them and what it was, I felt like it was doing. And a coworker of yours who had a beautiful voice came and would also put the headphones on, and she would sing to me. And it was really powerful and calming. And she had a beautiful voice. I felt like she sang Let It Be, but I don't really
Yeah, it could have been.
remember. But I do remember the act of her doing that for me, feeling terrible at that time, and it gave me peace. And that was really helpful.
Yeah. So much of what we can do, specifically like in the infusion setting, is like kind of meeting that discomfort with music, and the music really bringing that sense of calm and peace, or whatever the person needs. Because sometimes we'll do specific like relaxation techniques too, and sometimes people just need a song or two to like really connect with, maybe to bring some of that hope or bring some of that encouragement, especially like you're getting to the end of this cycle of treatment. It's like, man, I've already been through so much. Music can sometimes be that encouragement with peace.
It was both in treatment and then in the weeks for me healing at home, where I didn't want to turn on the TV. There was too much.
Too stimulating.
It was too much.
Like your body's already going through like so much stimulus, like TVs and all the other noises and environments are just can be stressful.
Thinking about that, we were going to talk about this today. I tried to go back. Some of it you try to block out because it was a tough period.
Absolutely.
But a lot I certainly remember, and I think people will always say that no two cancer journeys are alike, and that's entirely true.
Right.
But there is some commonality between them, and one of the things I found to be common in talking to other patients about is that many of us step away from work during that time, or at least are doing a lot less of it. We step away from a lot of parental or relationship responsibilities that we had. And there suddenly is a big void of time that was there. And music and music therapy helped fill that void for me. It put something really powerful that I was able to throw myself into, and just in listening to my own music, and I listened to a lot, would just create a space for myself that during this very emotional, psychological, physical time, it was a relief. It really was a relief. And then I'd look forward to seeing you every couple of weeks when I was here, and we got to talk about it. I felt like I slept through some of it.
Yeah.
To be honest,
That's
I
one
remember,
of those goals.
I remember that.
You know, like sometimes that is a goal. It's like, okay, you know, this person is not feeling great. And when you don't feel great, you don't want to talk about your emotions. Like some other aspects of music therapy outside of like being an infusion is like really seeing people individually and working through those uncomfortable emotions. But it's at a time when they're not going through active treatment and their body is less vulnerable. So psychologically, you know, they can put a little more energy into like discussing those difficult emotions. So sometimes, a lot of times, a goal is when people are going in active treatment is get them to a state of relaxation or sleep. You know, I always tell people it's kind of a compliment. Like if we're doing a relaxation and you go to sleep, you know, to the work, because you have all these other things going on. But between the, you know, music therapy intervention and the music itself, you're able to find this place of ultimate comfort, which leads to sleep, right?
Yeah, it was a very peaceful but equally kind of invigorating stimulus.
Yes.
To find this common ground with someone and then talk your way through it, and you're reminiscing and reflecting, and then it was kind of that jumping off period when you would go home, when I would go home for 3 weeks and immerse myself in other things that, you know, gave me comfort.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say to other patients who are considering music therapy as part of their journey?
I would absolutely encourage people to try it. I think it's the easiest thing in the world to try. You did all the heavy lifting. We just got to go for the ride with you and open ourselves to it. And there's not a lot of other things to do while you're going through treatment. So if you can find something that's enjoyable and peaceful, I think people would really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Is there anything else you'd like to share about how music can play a role in healing? You know, we talked a lot about how, you know, music's a big part of your life, so it's like just kind of rolling for you kind of anyways. But is there, having experienced it, like is there anything about like music and healing that you'd like to say?
Well, I think all of us know somebody most of the time that's going through something. You know, whether that's a cancer journey or not, or a surgery recovery or not, or some disease or whatever's physically going on in people's lives. Unfortunately, we know, especially as we get older, we know a lot of people that are going through something, and they need to hear from the people that care about them. And I know it's an awkward space to call a friend, somebody you love that's going through something, but it's more awkward for them. And just to get a call from somebody to say, hey, I love you, and you're on my mind. I need you to know that. And, you know, maybe make them a playlist, send them music that connected memories for you, or send them a video, will go a really long way to the person that's receiving it.
Sure.
You might actually feel good in the process of sending it as well, but people need to get that call or that text.
Yeah.
I have a good friend that's going through something right now, and he was there for me. And every morning for 6 months, without fail, he sent me a text every morning. It often came with a song. It often came with a music video.
Yeah.
Then we'd talk about it that week, every day.
That's a lot.
Every day for 6 months.
Wow.
Never missed. And, there's something about being told you're in remission, which you don't even really understand what that is. It means there's no more detectable sign of cancer in your body, but you've just been through months of treatment. You don't feel well.
Right.
So you're in recovery.
Yes.
And so don't forget about those folks just because maybe they've had their last round. They're still on their cancer journey.
Yeah.
I'm still on my cancer journey. I feel a lot better. I've healed a lot, but the 2 years of recovery were tough, and hearing from friends along the way helped. So, music was a bridge
Yeah.
to help and find common ground to talk about it. I don't know that we can define how it touches your soul. I don't even think I know what. Maybe I don't even know what that is,
Yeah.
but music touches it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's this living, breathing thing that we're lucky enough to experience here now. I think it's what you said is so important about, like, just because treatment stops, like, it doesn't mean that person doesn't need, like, some level of support or checking in. That's huge. A lot of people we see, like, individually, like on the outpatient side, or been in some level of remission for a few years, and they're still working through the emotional impact that the treatment and diagnosis had for them.
I know I did. I can't speak for others, but I know I certainly did. And I know that the year after I was done with treatment was probably a tougher year than the year of treatment.
Yeah.
The year of treatment was a very specific medical thing that I experienced, right? I knew my days in the hospital. I knew my rounds of procedures. I knew my treatments. It was scheduled. After that, it was getting well, and you're kind of left with this incredible, difficult experience that you and your family just went through. And I think, reaching out to somebody you love that's going through something, reaching out to their caregiver is powerful as well, because they've been carrying the weight of the challenge the whole way, and they need to be told they're loved, and maybe they need a song. So, in my case, Amy was right there with me. Rachel was right there with me.
Yes.
Every step of the way. So, it could be a lonely journey for them as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share about your story today, Kenny. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I'm so happy to see you today.
I'm so happy to see you too. Yeah, thanks again.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. For more information, visit us online, send us an email, or give us a call. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos are released. And most of all, be well.